this is really cool.
Amazing, right? It gives you a lot. I mean, you could get caught in hours of analysis, but there are also ways to just keep it simple as well. Hey everyone, April Cox here. I'm here today with Allison Olson, and we're doing a coaching session around keywords and getting ready to move forward with her publishing of her new book. Do you want to just say a little bit about your book?
It's called Surrounded by Love, an open adoption story. I'm an adoptee and an adoptive parent, and my whole purpose of the book is to change the narrative from the lucky child to the loved child.
A couple tools that I'm going to share that are really helpful for doing this. Let's start first by going to Amazon, and we're going to just put some keywords in here. The first one, we're going to say open adoption, right? That's what your series is all about. There's 2,000 results. That's a good point. So open adoption books. As we get more longer tail keyword phrases, so now there's 1,000. Open adoption books for kids. Now let's see. So like I said, now we're at 375. So you do like popular terms for different age groups. And you see, the more you add on in your keyword search, the less competition there is. The goal of this is to get the least competition, but really good search results. So you need to have a high number of searches, low competition, right? So that's a sweet spot. We call those the golden keywords. So in order to know whether this is a golden keyword, one of the things that I have, one of the tools I use is called KD Spy. And KD Spy is a Chrome extension. And as you can see, when you're in Amazon, you just click on this KD Spy extension right within Chrome, and it gives you all this list. So here we've got all the books that are on this page. We've got their average monthly revenue, average sales rank, average price of the books, and average number of reviews. And what I really love is you can go in here and you can order it by any column. So in here, estimated monthly revenue, we can see all these competitors and how much they're making per month on these books. Now, sometimes you see books that maybe aren't really applicable or real competitive for your area. For example, Awesome Engineering Activities has nothing to do with adoption. I don't know why it is coming up in this search. Now we've got Anger Management Workbook. It's okay to be different. What Makes a Baby, Me and My Feelings, Big Feelings book for children. So these are a lot of books here that don't really fit the whole adoption thing at the very top here. Then we start getting in the Connected Parent. God Gave Us a Family picture book. So what I would look at this, even though it says green, 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 right? Like people do search for this. It's a very popular search term. It has a lot of potential because the searches, the things that are coming up for that search term are doing really well. It's going to be easy to get a first page ranking on this keyword term. So I love this whole stoplight functionality. It's a good search term because it's green, 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 because the books that come up don't really have a lot of open adoption stories. To me, it's not the best search term because when people look for this, and then you had kids' books about open adoption or something like that. Let's see. So that has 271. This is a book about love and making families, an adoption story. You Are Enough. Choose to try again. So some of it is applicable. What we really want is to find a golden phrase that has is the very best keyword search. See this stoplight functionality over here. It says only a small number of books are performing well for this keyword. So that's the popularity thing. And it says the potential here, it looks a little average. This is the potential, the average monthly revenue of $1,400 a month. So I have no problem with $1,400 a month. So sometimes you have to look at this. And especially if you're in a very niche category, your search terms might not be very popular, but that's okay. So this, I think it's another, option. And so I'm just copying these search terms that we find and putting, yellow, yellow, green, 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 whatever, so that when we put together those 7 keyword phrases, we can use these. So what was your suggestion?
Oh, the broad one, I was saying just put in adoption books for kids, and that's going to be really broad.
Adoption books for kids, adoption books for children.
Yep.
This is another different extension that I added that just kind of fills in a bunch of extra things that are under this. It's called AMZ Suggestion Expander, and that's a free Chrome extension as well. AMZ Suggestion Expander. You know, sometimes when you're writing things into Amazon, it'll pop up, like you'll see things fill in, but this like expands all those suggestions so that you can see them better. Adoption books for kids, foster care, like, wow, these are, so it expands everything under adoption books so you can try things out. Adoption books for toddlers. That's 2,000 results. Going back to adoption books for adoptive parents. So there's a lot of different terms here that you can see that, and Amazon basically is showing you what's popular search things. They're good to start. Adoption books for adoptive parents and kids, something like that. Now we're at 311. So sometimes you just have to play a little bit with, and even sometimes it's the order of the words.
What about open infant adoption?
This is really good because now I'm scrolling through here and I see nothing but adoption stories. So this tells me this is a really good keyword phrase.
And what were the numbers on that? Okay, that was 560. Okay, that's pretty good.
So if we go in here, we're seeing popularity, a small number of books performing well, revenue potential. So you can see here, revenue potential 644 per month. But when we order things, so you've got a few that jump out that are doing really well, and the others are, 300 or less per month. So there's not a lot doing really well in this. So that's why they say perhaps this isn't, this is a potential is a little average. So that's okay.
Okay.
I love the fact that it has all of these additional information. So I wanted to kind of show that part of things, but I also want to show you another thing that I do. This I wished for you open adoption, an adoption story.
Yeah,
this is really doing well, really well.
It's a number one seller.
So what I like to do and what I recommend people do when you find the really top sellers in your industry, you can use another tool that I have is called Helium 10. And Helium 10, when you install the Chrome extension, by the way, the Chrome extension is free. So they have a bit of free functionality that you can use. And this graph over here is something that I see on my Amazon page for a listing only because I have that Chrome extension. It shows me how things have changed over time, what their ranking is, and it gives me these things. The one I'm always going into is keywords. So I can click on this. And believe it or not, we're going to be able to look behind the scenes at what keywords that this book is indexed for. And it shows you how many searches per month. Word adoption, 2,600 searches. And by the way, look at, it also shows how it's trending. It's up 224%, the searches. It's organic rank. It's showing you that this book is doing so well for that term. It's ranked number one. So you can see they're ranked number one for all of these, which is fantastic, right? And you've got open adoption books for kids, adoption books for toddlers, adoption stories. So you can see all of their data. Now, the free extension allows you to do this. It also allows you to export all this data into a CSV file or an Excel file. I'm just going to export it for you. But I'll show you what I also do. This doesn't tell you like which ones are the best search terms, because when you look at competing products, this adoption keyword might be 2,674 searches a month, but there's over 10,000 people competing for it, right? I want to find those search terms that have a decent search volume, 350 or more. So I can filter this because I have the paid tool. I'm allowed to go in and search for things. Only thing is the tool is about $100 a month. So I do it because I do so much helping with authors to be able to do these things. So it's because you and I are coaching together. I mean, I can just go in and use this tool together, export the things, and then you've got everything you need. What I love about this paid version is I'm going in and doing 350 for search volume. And then I can say, I want a maximum of 650 competing products. I don't want to compete with the 10,000. So this has 144 golden keywords. You can't use all of them for your 7 keyword phrases because obviously I Wished for You is the title of another book. But you can use these to put into an Amazon ad, right? You can export this. You can have this list of keywords here, use them for keywords on an ad. You can also go in and do additional things like here. If I wanted to see I Wished for You an open adoption story, if you wanted to say, oh, gee, I wonder what Katie Spy would say about that. Its potential. Let's just click on this link. It takes us right to the Amazon page and it's only got 32 results. And then if I click on the Katie Spy, let's see what Katie Spy has to say about it. By the way, while this is refreshing, I wanted to point out that Katie Spy lets you look at Kindle books and audiobooks. So here, popularity, not all that many people searching for it, but the potential is really high. Oops, wait a minute, it's coming. Oh, there we go. The page refreshed completely. And this is it's a beautiful green keyword.
Okay. Could you export this one? I would love this. And do you mind doing it one more time for another big book?
No, not at all. I'm happy to do that for you. No worries. Okay. So these tools are just so awesome to be able to use. And even if all you can do is use the free one and you export this, and then you could filter it if you're good with Excel. But I do highly recommend if you're going to do a lot, if you've got, this business of yours is all about publishing books, this is one of the must-have tools that I recommend for people who are making a business out of book publishing. And they really want to understand the analytics, the keywords, because those are so critical, right? So there's one other thing I want to show you too with this tool, but which other book did you want to check on first?
It is The Story of My Open Adoption. This is the big one that my book would be competing against. And it's a top seller, only available on Amazon, really.
So if we go into this book, then we'll just scroll down and it takes a minute for that graph to pull together to refresh. Here's Helium refreshing the graph. Okay. And it's ranked pretty well.
Oh, interesting.
Rank is 64,590. So it's not terrible at all. I'm going into the keywords. And again, we get to see all of the keywords they're using. And a lot of times what makes it even better is you can take this. I want to show you something else. View products frequently bought together.
Yes, that's what I want to see.
I can throw also up here. It says you can have up to 10 ASINs.
Oh, good.
New products born together. A terrible thing happened. Is this an adoption book?
I have not heard of it, but it sounds like one.
Okay. Let me throw this here. And then
I like the My Family, My Journey. That's interesting. It's more like a baby book. It's like people, like the keepsake journal I created that goes with my book.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and run a new search. Now with the free version, you're only allowed so many searches per day. So it might let you do 3 searches and then say, okay, you got to come back tomorrow. So they give you some functionality for free, which is wonderful for the Helium folks to do. And now we've got all this list of all the keywords combined for all 4 of these. So if let's just say you have like half a dozen of the top ones, you can put in all of the ASINs and then you can come here and let's do the magical search volume. We'll do minimum of 350, maximum competition of 650. And let's find how many golden keywords are there for you in this. 474.
So she's also picking competitive here.
Look at the competing products, The other thing you can do here is if you're going through this list and you say, you know what, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory doesn't apply, I'm going to just delete it. So you can delete things before you export. I always want to see 350 or more searches a month. Some people might bang that up to like 5 or whatever. And what I'll do sometimes is just go through this and If I want to get a few hundred keyword terms, like the best keyword terms, and say I filter this and it's 2,000 words, I'm like, okay, let me do 500 searches and 600 competing products, and then whittle it down, export that. And when I get it down to a few hundred that I know are really good, I might throw that into an ad. So, just it makes it quick and easy to do.
This is really cool.
Amazing, right? It gives you a lot. I mean, you could get caught in hours of analysis, but there are also ways to just keep it simple as well. One other thing I wanted to show you is, so let's just do the word adoption, kids adoption books. So when you've got this general search, and one of the types of ads that you can do on Amazon is a product ad, where you can put the ASINs of the books that you're targeting, and you can also target categories. But this is another way that you can use the Helium extension, and the free one does this for you as well. I just clicked on the extension. There's ASIN Grabber. So this ASIN Grabber, again, part of the free extension with Helium, allows you to take a list of all of the things on this page. So remember, these are great adoption books that you can target.
Yeah.
It has the title, it has your ASIN, it has the name of the author. So all of these, like you can target titles, you can target ASINs, target that. And you can export this into a list that then, let's just say I'm going to open this up for a second. If I am creating ads and all I want to do is target ASINs, like when you're actually going through and you building that list, all you have to do is come in here and copy, and then you just paste that into the ad of all the ASINs you want to target. Great. And it makes it so easy. And then you can also get some great keyword ideas from titles of these books. You can use the title as a keyword. Lots you can do with this. And same thing with targeting author names. So those are great keywords as well. Because some people search, they know the particular author they're looking for, and they search for author names as well. So it's a great opportunity to be able to just give you everything that you need to create really great targeting for yourself. I'm just going to save that for you. And at the end of this meeting, I will send you all these files. As you can see, you can go through like all of these. So we got kids adoption books. Right? Let's think about different angles for your keywords. We said,
let me see what I've started with this list. There's also domestic infant adoption.
Okay, so 176. And some of them won't be very popular, and it's okay if they're really, really niche, but knowing how many searches per month would be helpful. And you can use a tool like Publisher Rocket for that, or the paid tool on Helium also provides you with that information. Okay. This tool will just give you a sense of how popular it is. It doesn't really tell you how many searches per month. So not that popular, not that much potential. You're okay for competition, meaning you could rank really easily with it. But if you look at this and you say, you know what, this is a sub niche that's really important and I want to use that term, then you have the ability to use it. It's just not the best term.
So in here, I have this, like the 7 keywords. And
so I want to talk about that because when we go in and look at your keywords, so what I would do, some of these terms that we found are green, 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 right? Those are perfect keyword terms that we would want to leave as is.
Okay.
So I would try to find 3 or 4 like that.
I've got a few. So open adoption, books for kids was one.
Yeah. So on the left side, let's try to get like those green, green, green terms. And we'll leave the first 4 like really good keyword terms like that. And then on the other 3 on the right side, we'll do some keyword stuffing, meaning that you're going to fit as many terms as possible into that spot on the keyword list. Things like domestic infant adoption, yes, gift
like domestic, and I can even like open adoption.
Yeah.
Books for, and then is it like kids, toddlers? Is that stuffing?
Yeah.
Oh, we fit our end. We fit our end.
Yes. So you'd basically want to do some keyword stuffing on that. And take a look at the different aspects of it, like keepsake book for adoptive mom, things like that. And as you do that searching, you'll be able to see a lot more is that going to be a green, green, green thing? Can you come up with some wording? And sometimes it's just keepsake book for adoptive mom might not be the greatest, but adoptive mom keepsake book might be perfect. So sometimes it's just a matter of switching the words around. Other times it's adding a little bit of a longer tail for new baby, things like that. You add a little bit of extra words and that longer tail keyword phrase ends up being perfect because it's got plenty of searches and it still has great performance. And it bears saying that these keyword phrases are what's going to help Amazon know what your book is about. So it's really important to get this right, because when you do automatic ads with Amazon, they're looking at these keyword phrases and other parts of your metadata to know who should they put your book in front of. So that's why it makes sense to spend some time and really get this right. So some of these like adoption education, that I doubt that will be like a green, 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 but you could do some keyword stuffing on the right side with that. So the tool that I use for categories is Publisher Rocket. Publisher Rocket does have the ability to like type in keywords. So just before I transition that, so you had one that was like adoption education. So if you wanted to see how many searches a month on that, you could do this right through here. So 1,200 competitors, estimated searches per month. So it's not very, very many searches. So it's not the greatest keyword term. So you can do some additional digging with this tool. Same kind of functionality exists with Helium as well. So it's something that if you do have Publisher Rocket, you can get to things around keywords and competition. But the one area that this hands down is the best tool for is categories, because they have a list of all the categories and the pathway to the category. And in the top right here, you can do US, UK, or this is German.
Okay.
So you can do, after you get their USA categories, if you want to go in and do something for UK, that's great. You can just change it here. And then what you could do is just type in the word, say adoption. Now, it says here, you've got the full path of the adoption categories, but you also have information about how many sales to number 1 is it? Yeah. How many sales to number 10? So I usually just sort it by the least amount of sales to number 1.
Yeah, the first one's for teenagers. The next
you can't use that one. It's not a great fit. Yeah.
First 3 say that, and then it gets into parenting and relationships, which I don't think it would fall.
Sure, it would.
But it would.
I would say you can't mix children's book categories with teen categories, but you can target any of the adult categories that are applicable for your book. I'm just going to throw them in this document that I started putting together for you. Okay. And then what I usually do is I type the number, like here is 6 to 10, 32 to number 1. So I would put at the end of the category, I have 6/32. So I'm just taking notes so that later when I go and pick the best categories for the book, it gives me a sense as to which ones that I want, because you do want to have some that are really good, less competitive categories. And then you want to have some that are just popular categories because you want to be in those as well, even though you might have to do a lot of additional, it's more sales to number 1. It's okay. So here we've got this, and then we've got this one here, 2 and 74.
How much is Publisher Rocket?
It's less than $100.
Okay.
And it's very highly recommended. And I do have an affiliate link I'll post as well, and I'll send that to you along with the files. But yeah, these tools are so amazing. And what I love about Dave Chesson and his Publisher Rocket is that you buy it and it's a one-time fee. It's not a monthly fee. It's one time. And I have been using this tool for 4 years, and every time it's upgraded, it just automatically upgrades. It doesn't charge me a dime.
Oh,
so
great.
You don't have to pay for more. That doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever. So it's a good time to jump in and get that tool now while it is no monthly fee.
Okay.
So
great. Can you, instead of just adoption, could you put open adoption and see what happens?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have these are actual categories.
Oh,
So
these are actual categories they have. I see
yeah,
it.
they haven't created anything, because if we had the word adoption and there was an open adoption one, it would show under
It
that.
would already show. Okay.
The other thing that I do sometimes, which I really like, so let's just say we've got a children's book, right?
Hmm.
So I put the word child because there are some adult categories, some education categories, some children's categories that have the word child in them for children's books. And then I will organize this to the least amount of sales to number one.
Okay.
And then I'll just scroll through. And sometimes I get surprised that things jump out at me and I think, oh, that's a perfect fit for this.
Okay.
And you end up with like 4 sales to number one. And
Good.
it's
Okay.
completely applicable. I don't recommend anybody like messing with the categories and choosing something just because it's, we wouldn't put you in art history, right?
No. Yeah, it needs to be appropriate.
It needs to be appropriate, but there are new categories being created all the time. There are, things that not a lot of people find or are even aware of that would be perfectly applicable to your books. So we do this and we kind of scroll through and we try to find and see what are the least competitive books that work for yours. And I'm currently pulling a list together of all categories that Publisher Rocket has so that it shows all of the Amazon categories, and only with books with 20 sales or less to number one. And I've got that list that's going to be going into my resource library. So you'll have access to that, Allison. I should have that this week because I'm about 3/4 away done. So that way people can just take that list, which is already filtered by 20 sales or less, and do some searches in Excel and stuff to get the best categories for themselves. Now, what normally that you will do, I want to just show just going to jump into KDP and show you where to go to submit your category. So once you have those, you're going to copy the full category, the whole path. So you go to help from your KDP, here you would be normally when you log in, you're on bookshelf.
Yeah.
So go into help and scroll down. Usually there's all the help topics here, but go to contact us. Okay. And then the very first one is where you can update your categories. You can increase your look inside the book. Oh, and link, if your books aren't linking, you can go here. So when we click update Amazon categories, they give you the verbiage that they want you to use, and they want you to put, the whole category here.
Okay.
And you can have a total of up to 10 categories. So what I would always recommend is that you add your 8 additional categories, send it to them, and then go and check and make sure that they've actually done it for you. I want to do one other thing as well. If I look at this book, I want to show you one other way to also find some good categories. Here's the ASIN of this. Say this is a competitor book of yours. There's a website called Nerdy Book Girl, and there's also BK Linker. Both of these websites, you can put in your ASIN and you can do a search, and it shows all the categories that book is listed in. So this is another way of grabbing some good categories, or going into, you can go into your Publisher Rocket and see, how competitive are they. But it might give you some ideas that you hadn't thought about. Children's books on difficult discussions. Like that might be a good category, right? It's also a functionality. I'm going to stop for 1 minute and reshare Publisher Rocket. I know I'm jumping around a lot because I don't use just one tool. But if you do the competition analyzer, right, you can say adoption books. Go Get 'em Rocket. Now you've got all of these adoption books, right? And you can click unleash the categories. And now it shows you all the categories that they are in, as well as their sales to number 1 and sales to number 10. So you can kind of cheat a little bit by looking at what others are doing. And you can export these categories, which I'll do for you right now. So do you see how all these like little tools are so convenient, and sometimes you just have to know about all these different places, but there's a lot that you can do with these different tools. And like, I love that this feature. I love the category feature with Publisher Rocket. It has some good features on finding keywords, but then Katie Spy, I just love that stoplight feature. I love that you can see what they're making by book, and you got all this information at your fingertips, and it's so inexpensive. And then Helium, I mean, it's priceless to be able to go behind the scenes and take a look at the keyword phrases that are being indexed by others, and that ASIN grabber. So all of those things are just critical tools for me during my analysis. When you do submit to Amazon, one thing I would say is go in, and at the end, when they say that they've got everything done with you, go in and make sure and check your own ASIN on like that Nerdy Girl category hunter tool, because they usually don't do it, because you're giving them like 8 categories to add. There's just some laziness that happens sometimes, and they'll stop at 3 or 4 and they'll tell you they're done. And then you check it and they didn't do it. So you have to go back and resubmit. And sometimes you have other categories that were assigned to your book that you weren't even aware of. So you might check your paperback ASIN and it's showing like 4 or 5 categories, but you only selected 2. So how did it get into 5? Well, Amazon's algorithm makes some assumptions and puts you into some extra ones. So if they're not ones you want, you'd have to say, remove these and add these 8. So it's worth going through that process and making sure that you're checking on those things and that you go do the back and forth needed. In the same area where we just went and I showed you where you can request the additional categories, there was another option to increase the look inside. So if you're not seeing enough of the book, you can increase it for your KDP books. A+ content is another really important part of that as well. So you'll have your books in a series, you've got a beautiful cover, you've got a great description, you'll have great keywords, your categories will be updated with 10 categories. You are styling, and we're putting it on pre-order. So all of this stuff is coming together, and now you're giving yourself plenty of time while it's on pre-order to go do all of those things that we talked about, right? You're going to do podcasts, you're going to be doing a bunch of other things. So that's going to mean you're going to have everything in place, Allison. I think I'm predicting a really great launch of this book.
Oh, good. Thank you, April.
So let me just say thank you so much for helping us by allowing others to see and benefit from your journey. Thank you, Allison.
Great. Thank you.